two are getting rough. My mind just sounds like Shia LaBeouf. It says no, 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 no. Just no, 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 no. And every time I see him with you, my heart sounds like Shia LaBeouf too. No, 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 no. No, no.
injection. We can move slow, take it real slow. I can feel you all around me and fill me up when I was empty. I can risky, I can let go if you let go. It's okay to take it away, away. If you stay, I'll show you the way, the way.
Wow, amazing. Wow, 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 amazing. Good evening, everyone. Good evening here at Westhafen Events and Convention Center. And a big hello to everyone at home in front of their screens. It's amazing to be here. It's going to be an amazing evening for all of us. And I'm really looking forward to present you today a new Lisk. For everyone who doesn't know me, my name is Max Kordek. I'm co-founder and the president of the Lisk Foundation, which I started together with my partner Oliver Beddoes back in 2016. So, blockchain is one amazing technology. Applied, it offers so many great opportunities to benefit our centralized world. However, there's one problem. It's not easy to apply this technology. Blockchain technology could be used in order to remove borders, to empower future infrastructures, or to bring transparency. Because of the fact that this technology is not very accessible nowadays, because you need to know many different complex fields like cryptography, peer-to-peer technology, or game theory, Oliver and I started this whole journey. We established the Lisk Foundation in Switzerland with the goal to make this technology open for everyone in the world. And now, here we are, in Berlin, 500 people sitting in one room just to listen to our vision and our huge achievements in the last 2 years. Thank you, everyone, again for coming here. Due to our extremely hard efforts and a lot of time we spent on this project until now, today, Lisk is stronger than it ever was before. And we promise you to keep on dedicating our time and effort on development and marketing to make it really one of the biggest projects in the entire industry. We are prepared to make 2018 the best year we have ever seen yet. And in the next 2 hours, you will be introduced to our relaunch, to a new Lisk. And once again, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who is sitting here, to everyone who is watching the live stream at home in front of their screens. You are amazing, and have an exciting evening. Have fun, enjoy it, and tell everyone about what you have seen here tonight. Thank you. Now I would like to invite Christian Vatter of Relevance to the stage, who will tell you more about how we achieved our new identity and our new branding. Christian?
Thanks. Good evening, everybody. Everyone knows that blockchain is quite a complicated matter. Try explaining it to your parents. So Lisk decided to hire an outsider like me to come, dig deep into the topic, ask strange questions. And they did not do that in order to better explain blockchain technology to their parents, but they wanted to make clear to everyone outside of the community what Lisk is, what they're doing, and why they're doing what they're doing. I'm Christian Vatter. I'm a psychologist, founder of Relevance, a consulting firm, and we helped Lisk to find, to focus, and to live their true identity. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about how we did that, but first a few words about our approach as a consultancy. We bridge the worlds of business, marketing, creativity, and empathic understanding of human needs. We call this approach human-centered business consulting, and we apply it to brand positioning, marketing strategy, and concepts of products, services, and user experiences. With this mindset, we carefully planned a process for Lisk. We started it with a learning journey. We wanted to know what the potential of blockchain is, what the special qualities of Lisk would be, and what needs users have. After we acquired all that knowledge, we combined it to create the Lisk value proposition, which is the promise of how users will benefit from them. In the next step, then, this was our guiding star to fine-tune the product and service ecosystem so it would better deliver on the promise, to create communication ideas and guidelines that better help to tell the story, and to establish an organizational culture that supports it from within. These were all the steps necessary to deliver on that schematic process. Here are the real steps. There were quite a few. I would like to focus on the first part, the learning journey that helped us to come up with a balanced value proposition. So as a first element, we did a series of workshops and interviews with the founders, Max and Oliver, and we dug deep into their motivation, their goals, their vision. But we also talked about strengths and features of the product. As a second element, we wanted to understand main users of Lisk, blockchain developers. So we created a virtual discussion group on Slack, and we invited 13 developers from around the world to participate, literally from around the world, from New Zealand to the west coast of Canada. And over the course of 1 week, we discussed with them 10 different topics, such as their motivations, their creation process, their view on various blockchain projects, and of course, their view on Lisk. During that week, participants created almost 2,000 posts full of great insight. Finally, to see the topic in a broader context, we included the view of 5 blockchain or digital experts representing different aspects like blockchain philosophy to PR and from corporate industry to startup. In one-on-one interviews with them, we talked in great detail about potential of blockchains, about needs of developers and entrepreneurs, actually quite an important group, entrepreneurs, and also got their view on Lisk. So what did we learn from these modules? I'd like to show you some of our learnings in the form of quotes from the participants of these research elements. So the first insight is about the benefits of blockchain in general. Blockchain will be the key infrastructure of the next economy, but the real revolution will be in the clever ways it is applied, is what a developer from our Slack group said. Users don't care if they use a regular or a decentralized app, a blockchain app. They won't notice. The product makes the case, not the infrastructure, is one of our experts was saying. So this is our learning number 1. It's not about the technology we all love. It's about its application, its utility, the benefit it provides to people in the form of great services and products. What did we learn from the intentions of the founders? We want everyday people to benefit from blockchain applications, the more the better, is what Max said in one interview. And Oliver said, we want to create a platform so accessible that any JavaScript developer can jump on board immediately. So our learning from this is that Lisk do want to foster the widespread adoption of blockchain. And their way of doing so is by increasing the supply side, by making it easy for developers to create more and more high-quality applications. The third insight is about what developers and experts said about the strengths of Lisk. There are quite a few, but I'd like to pick one aspect out. Sidechains connected to the main chain are a great idea. Bad code can always happen, so if something goes wrong with an app, it does not bring down the whole platform. That's what a developer said. And an expert said, their sidechain concept means that there won't be any blockchain bloat and apps can really scale. So our third learning from this is that, yes, people do talk about sidechains, but there's more to it, actually. Because it's not only about creating applications, it's also very much about running them. And here, a stable, a reliable, and also a scalable platform is of great value. Many insights, lots of knowledge. What are our conclusions from this? So this is what it all means to Lisk. So we started out with 3 questions. What is Lisk? What are they doing? And why are they doing what they're doing? And here are our answers. Lisk is a reliable and scalable platform to run blockchain applications. Lisk makes creating blockchain apps more accessible. And thirdly, Lisk wants to bring the benefits of blockchain applications to everyone. So these knowledge bits, insights, then finally led us to the Lisk value proposition, the way users benefit from Lisk. And here it is. Ta-da! We enable blockchain creators. This is our promise. This contains 3 aspects. For one, we're making creation more easy and accessible for those who want to do it. Secondly, we focus on the applied side, meaning we help to bring about a lot of helpful and beneficial applications. And thirdly, in there, it is, if you truly want to enable creation, you should not stop at supporting developers, but you should in fact include also innovators, entrepreneurs, business people, everyone with a great use case or with a great idea in mind. So this is the promise, and here is what we do to bring it to life. We make it easy to build. We provide tools to manage applications. We educate about the topic, about the platform, and about the tools. We inspire with great use cases. And we construct and maintain a solid and scalable infrastructure. So all in all, this promise is authentic to the Lisk spirit. It's relevant for creators, and is backed by great products and services. And hopefully, it makes clear what Lisk is to their parents. Thank you very much. I'd like to pass on now to Thomas, marketing lead at Lightcurve, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about how this promise was translated into products and design. Thank you.
Thank you. What am I excited to be here tonight? You have no idea. Super excited. Thanks so much for tuning in at home, and also for you guys. 500 people here in Berlin. It's absolutely amazing. I'm going to bring two things to you tonight. I have the honor to bring a vastly improved website to you, and I have the honor to introduce you to one of the very, very first apps in the blockchain, which goes further than what we have seen in the past. We already introduced it back in November, the Lisk app, and we go more in detail later on. We went through several processes together with our amazing contractors and partners, Relevance and Taikonauten. And you just witnessed a presentation of Relevance explaining how we got to the brand identity or brand strategy we defined for Lisk. But a brand strategy is nothing if you cannot translate it into marketing, communications, into your whole outing, even it goes into the code, how the product naming is, how the product icons are. And that's where we needed Taikonauten, award-winning design agency here from Berlin, a team of over 10 UX designers, concept designers, illustrators, strategists, and developers. And they helped us executing everything we defined together with Relevance. The very first thing I want to show you is new product naming and icons. Back in November, we showed you Core, Liski, and JS as part of the SDK, and the fourth missing component, the Lisk app. And to make everything more fitted to our brand strategy, and fitted to the logo, fitted to our color palette, and also to describe the product better than what we did before, we are introducing new icons and new naming. Core remains the same with a new icon. Lisk JS becomes Lisk Elements. Liski becomes Lisk Commander, a command line interface. And from now on, the Lisk app, we call it Lisk Hub. Thank you. Recognizable names and icons which better describe the products our backend team or our whole developer team has been working on. We go more in detail of all four of them later, but first I would like to show you a video. Wow. Absolutely amazing. I have watched this video more than 10 times and I still get goosebumps. So thanks so much for our new motion designer, Julian, here in the front. Give an applause. It's the first video out of many you will see from him, so keep an eye on our YouTube channel. Inspiring, personal, accessible, and bold. This is how we describe the website and a new platform of Lisk. In 10 years' time, I would like to ask people to look back on Lisk, and I want them to answer the following. They were the ones that inspired us about the blockchain potential. I would like them to say that we were personal back in the days of the ICO. Max answered every damn question regarding the ICO. Some of you know this. So personal, we have now dedicated community managers helping you out. You already saw a sneak peek. We're accessible. We're bringing blockchain down to the level where everybody can do it. And we're bold. And with bold, I mean we're different, or we try to be different than our peers. We get often back from the community that we're practicing more a traditional startup-like marketing and communication efforts. And I'm proud of this. Because we are different, we're doing it our own way. And after tonight, you will see us growing into a platform which you cannot miss the coming years. And everything we do comes down to one single goal: enabling blockchain creators. How do you enable blockchain creators? It's not only about the SDK and the tools. It goes further. It goes further than this, enabling in any kind of format. So how to do this? Well, the website we all know, the current website is fine. It serves its purpose of informing people what we're up to. But it was not really something you would go back to once in a while to check out new information or to inform yourself. It's a website which is lacking information. And when I joined the team, almost a year ago now, I told Max, what is this website? I cannot do anything with this, no marketing with this. So we started the rebranding. So we say no to this. Something else I would like to say no to is this. Almost in every website nowadays, and I talk about the website in our industry, have those dots and lines. What is this? I don't like this. Neither hexagons, by the way. So we say no to this. Together with Taiko now, and the designers will say, we're not going to do it, we're going to be different, and we're going to be bold. So where do you start then if you have no benchmarking in the industry? And we have benchmarking outside the industry, like Christian pointed out. We can learn from those best practices, but if you compare it to a normal banking app, if you're logged in, you're seeing your own account. And if you're looking in Explorer, you can basically see the accounts of all of us. So there's some differences. So where do you start then? We didn't know. That's why we needed Taiko Nauten. Brief people, designers, UX experts from outside our industry to help us to get this insight. So we started with a blank canvas. We put our 4 products out there. We said those ones at least needs to be included. But we have much more than that. We have the academy, which will be later talked about. We have the community, you guys. We have a reliable and a sturdy image. We have, of course, the decentralized application. So how does this all tie together? And it's in a certain way an infinite circle of connections between one and the other aspects of our Lisk ecosystem. Once you pass through one stage of the Lisk ecosystem, it's unavoidable to pass through the others, at least at a later point in time. They're all interconnected with each other, with Lisk in the middle, and this is what we call the Lisk ecosystem. So we gathered all those industry experts together, Taikonauten, relevance, and we went through different stages towards our goal. And if people think that we started drawing logos once we announced the rebranding, that was not really the case. We started with user testing, getting insights from people. What is it that you're missing? What is it what you're currently experiencing with other platforms? We organized focus groups with our main stakeholders. Then we went to the drawing table, the ideation phase. Let's draft up the initial sketches. And I can tell you that we went through quite a few iterations, even to a point where we deleted the whole website we designed. We showed it to developers. We asked them, once again, can you relate to this? No. So everything went into the trash can, and we started from scratch. We take quality serious, quality over speed. And this is how iterations look like. Over and over and over. And I hope with this we get some sympathy for the fact that it took long. Yes, we know it took long, but I think it was worth it. I would like to introduce you today the website and the Lisk app, the Lisk Hub now called. And for the website, I point out the homepage and the product page as two very clear examples where you can see what we did with the website. Together with Taikonauten, we went deeper into our user groups and focus groups, and we identified a funnel. 4 key stakeholders within our industry we want to serve. Because the homepage is for everybody, for all our stakeholders. Starters, developers, app commissioners, and the community. And what do I mean with starters? With starters, I mean people that are not being, they didn't get introduced to blockchain yet. We have to inform them and inspire them what it is to create a blockchain, to use a blockchain application in the future, and overall the general impression of what the blockchain entails. Developers, of course, our main target group. App commissioners, it could be a developer or a CTO in a company trying to optimize his supply chain, utilizing sidechain technology. Or the community, you guys, the current community and the future community. So, exactly in this order, we designed the homepage. And there it is, the homepage. Let's have a closer look together. Of course, because everybody is super curious. This is the inspiration part, where we target the starters. We start with a video created by a top firm, video production firm in Germany called Element E, with a video which is called Create the Future, which is a different video than all those same homepage videos we have been used to see. And if I enter a website nowadays, the first thing I see is like, we are the fastest. We have the lowest fees. We have 200 million funding. We have 26 advisors. Super cool, really necessary, but let's start from the beginning. Inspiration for starters. Another moment where we take the starters and we educate them. We made designated cards or use cases or blockchain capabilities or Lisk capabilities, and per card we pointed out 2 use cases, as you can see here. Every use case, up to 12, is supported by amazingly illustrated illustrations by the designers of Taikonauten. When we go a bit more in detail for developers, we don't go so much in detail. We stay a bit on the surface, because after all, this is the homepage. So here we quickly address sidechain technology and what we're planning to do. Because this is interesting for developers, for JavaScript developers, but it could also be interesting for anybody in this room and at home to grasp what the core is, what we are doing or trying to achieve. After that, we get blockchain insights, designated cards, showcasing information and content from the academy and documentation. And then we have Max and Oliver, something which is quite bold as well. But why is this so important? Trust in our industry is lacking. It's super important for us that you can look us into the eyes tonight, but also when you go back home and have a look at the website, and not only Max and Oliver, but all the people that work on Lisk, up to 50 people. You can look them into the eyes, you can read more about their backgrounds, where they came from, and what are their motivations to work in our industry. And lastly, the community module. A module designated for our community, showcasing our social platforms. We recently added Telegram and Discord. And there are 3 things I would like to focus on with marketing and communication, which is, first of all, video production. You saw the qualities of our video team. We want to go crazy on YouTube, sharing every update in a video format. Developer update, marketing update, business updates, everything in video format, because video is, in our idea, much more enjoyable to look at than reading through a blog. And also events. We will have curated events for curated target groups, for beginners, all the way up to blockchain experts. And here you can see the very first upcoming event. And thirdly, the newsletter. The newsletter will be curated news for you and you only, to keep an update, to keep updated about the Lisk developments. So let's go back to the 4 target groups: starters, developers, app commissioners, and the community. There's a sort of hierarchy involved in this. We talked out and we sat together and we said, okay, the homepage is for everybody, but not every page is for everybody. So the second page I would like to show you is the products page, which is one of the most important pages for one of the most important target groups, developers. Let's have a look. It starts with a quote, helping you build tomorrow, because that's the essence. It's not there yet. We're getting there. Once we go down, you get introduced to a flow. What kind of flow is this? This is 4 steps. 4 steps to go from your idea all the way to the success of your decentralized application. We got from the community back. It is not very clear how the process is being designed. Where do I start as a JavaScript developer? Where do I go? What kind of products do I use? As you can see behind me, generate your own white label sidechain is the very first step for you as a developer towards the success of your blockchain application. The second step, customize your sidechain, utilizing your own code, possibly. Go from sidechain to application, providing it with a user interface, for example. And then last, test, deploy, and promote your app. If you click on README, then you can read more. So that's all nice, but those steps are being taken also by other platforms. So why do I choose Lisk above other platforms? We believe that we can coexist. There's no fair competition between different platforms. We have different approaches, different brand strategies. But with Lisk, you can build better blockchains, utilizing Node.js, modular, scalable, reliable, secure. We're highly independent. And last but not least, it should be effortless. Effortless is key to developer adoption. Nobody likes complicated documentation. Nobody likes to learn a new programming language. We want to make it accessible and easy. Okay, fair enough. I choose Lisk as a platform. What are the tools you have to offer? I quickly already introduced you to Lisk Commander and other products within our portfolio. The Lisk Hub, short description, introducing also non-developers to our products. All supported, again, with beautifully animated illustrations. Lisk Core. Lisk Elements. And then lastly, Lisk Nano. And now I hear you think, oh, listen, Lisk Nano, In November, we announced that Lisk Nano will be discontinued together with the Explorer, because the Lisk app, at that time communicated as the Lisk app and now as the Lisk Hub, already includes the functionalities of the wallet and the Explorer. But we're releasing the Lisk Hub as a beta version first, so that's why we continue the support of Lisk Nano for the coming months before we discontinue it. So once more, all those products together, Elements, Commander, Core, and then the management tool, Lisk Hub, form together the aggregation of the SDK, which we would like to call a sidechain development kit. It features a growing collection of modules for programming your sidechain along your wishes, so it's customizable. And to end that page, a community module again, but then tailored to the needs of, in this case, developers. And here you have a sneak peek in what the rest of the website entails. Not for tonight yet. But first, we go deeper into the Lisk Hub. I already mentioned the Lisk Hub, we release it as a beta version first. And the Lisk Hub is basically the first of our tools, of those 4 that is not exclusively designed for developers. Everybody should be able to use it to trade tokens, to, for example, make use of different blockchain applications. Functionalities, including, for example, the wallet, transactions, voting, Explorer, the things you are currently used to, but all in a one-stop shop. This makes blockchain more accessible. People would love to interact with this, and they don't get that you should go to another website which includes the Explorer. Other functionalities which are yet not included are, for example, registering your sidechain or your dApp name, or directly get your custom token. It was already on the development roadmap back in November. Custom tokens will be later added to the Lisk Hub. And instead of a lot of complexity in coding, within the Lisk Hub, within a few clicks, with an amazing interface, you get your tokens freshly created in your wallet, and it's free for you to distribute it among your ICO participants. This is the new Lisk Hub. So what are the features that we implemented in the new Lisk Hub? One of my favorite ones is the Lisk ID. And what is a Lisk ID? A Lisk ID is basically an address, but an address is the wrong name. It is more than an address. It's an account where you can do stuff with. In contrast to the website, which is heavily on the content side and more informational, the Lisk Hub is an environment where you can do stuff. It's an application. It also doesn't look like a website. It is purely designed by us and Taikonauten together that it looks and feels like an application. In the first place, it will be launched as a web app and later as a downloadable version. So what is this Lisk ID? Let's dive into the Lisk Hub. This is how it looks like, the Lisk Hub. And the very first functionality is creating a Lisk ID. If you randomly go around with your cursor, it aggregates all the different shapes into one single avatar. That avatar represents your unique identifier. Through heavy user testing, we came to the conclusion that security is still a problem for most of our users. Hardcore users know that they should secure their passphrase, and it's the only way to access their tokens. And I want to stretch once more here, grab the moment to emphasize the fact that storing your tokens in a Nano wallet or in the Lisk Hub is by far the most secure place to store your tokens. It's by far the most secure place to store your tokens. But it's so secure that if you lose your passphrase, your tokens are gone. So that's why we emphasize on safekeeping, making sure with movements, swipe movements, for example on touchscreens, that people really stand still at the moment they know, okay, now it's the moment for me to write it down. And we go a step further. We ask people to fill in the blanks. So you have to remember it. If you didn't write it down or didn't copy it, you're not going to go through this stage and you don't get that nicely avatar you just created. If you do it wrong, you get directly feedback, you did it wrong. If you do it right, you get access to your nice new avatar. And there it is, perfect, we're all set. And this is how you create a new Lisk ID. And if you thought, okay, how does that work? It's based on an algorithm together designed with our front-end guys and the guys of Taikonauten that every single Lisk avatar is unique and based on your address. And this is how they look like. Let's go to the next one. Sign in and dashboard. On the left side, you can sign in if you already have your Lisk ID, for example. In our case, most of us have already a Lisk address, in this case now a Lisk ID. Another thing that came back from our user testing is that it's still for people really difficult to imagine that they should include a space between the words, and that you should not put 11 words or 13, but 12. This goes wrong very often. As you can see, if you type it wrongly, you get directly feedback. Listen, this word is wrong, and exactly this word. By having 12 fields of placing it inside, you're sure that people don't forget any word or put in too much. This reduces our support tickets significantly. Then you land on the dashboard. This is how the dashboard looks like. At the moment, we have a graph showcasing the Lisk versus Bitcoin. On the right side, a transfer module, and on the bottom side, your activities. As a landing and an overview. In the right upper corner, you see your unique Lisk ID, so you know you're logged in. You see the address and the timer. As I mentioned, this is more an app environment. It's not necessarily a website, although it is web-based. On the left side, again, super nicely illustrated icons for every specific feature. And on the left side, we're going to include many more and more and more features. How did the wallet within the Lisk Hub turn out? Obviously, on the left side, you get an indicator that you are now in the wallet. Easy as that. You have a transfer field, an overview field. This field doesn't change. You can click on a specific address or a specific Lisk ID, I have to say, and you see the details of that transaction. The timestamp, the confirmations, the amount, the fee, everything within one easy overview. And because of this unique Lisk avatar, it's easy to recognize different accounts. So if you're using several accounts, it's easier for you to know that you are in the right one. And sending a transaction goes all within this field, easy and accessible, with clear colors, emphasizing if you click here, there's going to happen something. It looks simple, and it is damn simple, but to make something so simple requires much, much more work and iteration than is being expected from the first moment. Because otherwise, other platforms and other blockchain projects would already have this. Another feature I really like is the multi-account switch. Highly requested, again, by our focus groups. In the right upper corner, you can click on your own avatar and scroll through different Lisk IDs. Maybe you're a delegate and you're controlling many different wallets or Lisk IDs. Or maybe you're controlling or managing other wallets from other people, your family or your friends. You can scroll through them. Again, easy, identifiable through the Lisk avatar. You can easily delete them or keep them. Everything in a super simplistic overview. The Explorer functionalities. The Explorer functionality is something which I'm super happy we integrated it into this one-stop shop, which we call the Lisk Hub. You can search in the beginning, you can search for a transaction ID or a certain address, or you click directly on the latest search because it remembers it. And again, the same overview, easy, accessible, and simple, identified by the Lisk avatar. And you know you're not in your account because on the left side it says, send to this address. So instantly, you can send Lisk assets to this different Lisk ID. Maybe your own one, or maybe for somebody else. And then delegates. You already saw a sneak peek in the video. There is an icon for delegates, but it's not visible here within the toolbar of the Lisk Hub beta. We think that making blockchain accessible for a bigger audience is also means stripping away features that are not necessarily from interest for everybody. And we believe that voting and delegates management is not something which is for everybody. And that's why you can find it at more and in the advanced features. So you can enable it and find it back in your feature bar. It's easy to search for delegates. On the left side, you can see how many votes you have left, how many votes you vote for in this voting round, up to 33. You get directly the feedback. On the right side, your overview. Again, everything in the same viewport. And there we go. Vote submitted. I already briefly touched upon other features that we include along the way the coming months, including custom tokens and registering or claiming your dApp name. Other features include sidechain management, custom tokens, multi-token support, a decentralized exchange, a fiat gateway to Lisk, and last but not least, a ICO suite. Multi-token support is important, taking our vision into account that we're creating here a sidechain application platform. And why is it so important? Now we have multi-account switch with different Lisk IDs, but later you have not only Lisk accounts, but you have all your sidechain accounts. And this is a real user experience challenge. We will work day and night, again with Taikonauten, to make this a absolute best possible platform for sidechain development, including a feature of multi-token support. So in one overview, this is my Lisk ID, and these are my sidechain assets. You can swap them directly in a decentralized exchange, again in this one-stop shop, which we call the Lisk Hub. So this is just the beginning. I got asked over 100 times, but when are you going to go live with this website and with this new fancy app? I'm happy to share with you, we bundled all our forces together, that tomorrow at noon, Central European time, we go live with everything you just saw. And the best user testing is not this specific focus group or this panel of experts, but is you. So we are standby tomorrow after 12, afternoon, Central European time, to get all your feedback on the website and the Lisk Hub to make this the best possible platform in the industry as soon as possible. We've been working evenings and weekends, I can tell you that. And one thing that we've been working on is the Lisk Academy. It's a very big project. I would like to welcome Jacob on stage, my colleague. He's the main author of the Academy. It's been an amazing journey until what we have been creating now. And I would ask Jacob on stage to explain everything what the Lisk Academy entails. Thank you very much. Thank you, bro.
Hello, hi, I'm Jacob. I am part of the Lisk marketing team and project lead on the Lisk Academy. So hopefully, at least a few people in the room will know what blockchain technology is, what it does, and why it's such a big deal. Room full of traders? Okay, fantastic. So this is something myself and my colleague Michael set out to change when we joined Lisk. And the platform we're looking to do this with is the Lisk Academy. The Lisk Academy is essentially a one-stop shop for all educational needs in regard to blockchain. So this is somewhere you can go whether you want to find out what hashing is, whether you want to work out how a network that's completely private can also offer transparency, or if you simply want blockchain explained to you like you're 5 years old. The Lisk Academy is here to provide all of that. Currently, the Lisk Academy is divided into 2 segments, blockchain basics and blockchain business. So as the name suggests, blockchain basics covers the very fundamentals of blockchain technology. That includes the blockchain explained, the technologies of blockchain, so things like the P2P network, the values of blockchain, so we're talking about a trustless system, about transparency, about privacy, and then blockchain use cases, both current and upcoming. The goal of this part of the Academy is to have anyone be able to explain blockchain technology to anyone else after 5-10 minutes of reading. So aside from all the detailed content and animations, we've also got animations such as this to clarify and sort of solidify all the points of the Academy. This is once again Julian's work, which is why it's so immaculately beautiful. So with awareness and with understanding comes adoption. And this is where the second part of the Lisk Academy comes into play, blockchain business. Blockchain business, as the name also suggests, covers the fundamentals of implementing blockchain technology within a company. So that includes how you'd implement blockchain into a traditional company, be that through supply chain management, how the business born into blockchain differs from a traditional business in terms of obviously funding, in terms of regulation, in terms of a decentralized workforce. Obviously, a blockchain company is completely different from a traditional business model, and this is highlighted in Chapter 2 of the Academy. Then, obviously, we're talking about cryptocurrencies. It's obviously a very hot topic. We obviously want to make sure that everyone is trading Lisk as safely as possible. So this will be covered in Chapter 3 of blockchain business. And finally, ICOs. Lisk actually ran one of the first ICOs in the model that we've sort of got used to seeing on almost a daily basis nowadays. And as such, we feel we're in a position to advise these budding projects, especially considering we're going to be offering an ICO suite in our future Lisk products. And as such, Chapter 4 of the blockchain business will cover that entirely. Along with the content, animations, we've got some interactive features to keep the experience of learning about blockchain as engaging as possible, be that animations, be that drop-down sections, a detailed blockchain glossary. It's all there. The aim is to make this academy a one-stop shop for all your blockchain needs, while catering to the modern attention span. So breaking down what we're going to get out of this academy and what it has to offer. Obviously, the goal is to raise awareness, loyalty, and understanding. I mean, as a Londoner, I hate to badmouth the BBC, but I've seen countless reports by the BBC that are just completely misguided. Essentially, it's conversations about the fluctuating price of Bitcoin, and that's all we sort of get as blockchain companies. We're looking to shift the conversation away from just volatile prices of Bitcoin to a further and more comprehensive understanding about the technology. And through that, we're hoping to increase acceleration of adoption of this technology. As I mentioned, the first step to adoption is understanding, and we want to push that. As I mentioned, moving the price away from Bitcoin, and this is all being done through premium content that myself and my colleague Michael have been writing for the last few months. So it's over 40,000 words of absolutely premium content and over 50 infographics and animations to illustrate that content. And this will all be used to promote the Lisk ecosystem. As mentioned, we're completely growing, we've evolved, this is a rebirth of the Lisk product, and this is to keep this promotion going. It's all well and good having this beautiful logo and amazing website, but we want it to be seen outside the conversations that just include price. Now, obviously, the Academy, like blockchain technology itself, is still very young, and there's a lot of space to grow, develop, and improve. So looking ahead, we're looking to implement a blockchain builders module. This will come with a sidechain development kit, and this will be by far the most technical module of the Academy, covering how you can develop your blockchain applications, how you can support them, how you can release your cryptocurrencies. It's all going to be covered in blockchain builders. We're also looking at the other side of the spectrum, so we're going to start adding in gamification. I'm sure everyone in this room is aware of the potential of blockchain. So as such, I feel it's very beneficial to start teaching the younger generations about it, because I mean, it's just a matter of time when it's covering all of our lives. And I feel through gamification and tailored personal profiles, we'll be able to do this. As I said, we want this to be a one-stop shop, but we don't want you to only stop there once, essentially. We want people to keep coming back, to keep growing their experience, and to keep learning more about blockchain technology as the technology grows and evolves. We're also looking to shift away from just a tool for empowerment and enablement to an educational platform as well. And through that, we're going to be running more educational meetups with the Lisk brand, be that our JavaScript developers teaching people about how to deploy their applications, or the marketing team running blockchain meetups and workshops. We want to make ourselves as informative as possible. This is also a very early idea that we're exploring, but we feel this will massively benefit the community to have an accredited Lisk diploma. So through this diploma, you'll be able to demonstrate a comprehensive knowledge of blockchain technology and of the Lisk toolkit. And we feel that this could be very useful in the future when jobs start sprouting up everywhere for blockchain technology. Having a diploma like this will be able to show future employers that, that you are aware of the Lisk toolkit and of the technology. And finally, we'd like to open up the platform to you. Obviously, Lisk is very much based on community. It's great to see you all guys here. And without your unwavering support, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. It's very inspirational to see you guys sort of interacting on Reddit and Lisk chat and supporting each other. And there's obviously so much intelligence and awareness and potential out there. And we'd like to give a further, wider platform for people to be able to display this. And as such, we're going to be opening up the Academy to all the Lisk community. As I mentioned, we're always growing and looking for feedback, so if you have any ideas about how we can improve the concept or want to start contributing, then feel free to reach out to me personally at academy@lisk.io, or if by some miracle you manage to spell my surname, feel free to send me a tweet as well. Now we're going to have a more detailed discussion with a panel consisting of Oliver Beddoes, one of our founders, Will, and Ika, our cryptographer. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a lovely evening.
Yes, as Jacob already mentioned in the end of his presentation, there's so much happening at the moment for development of Lisk that we could not leave this evening pass without at least having those guys on stage and giving them a face and explain more about what we have been up to with Core, what we are planning to do after the release of Core 1.0 and beyond. So I would like to introduce you Oliver, our co-founder and CTO, Iker, our first member of the science team and cryptographer, and lastly, Will, our full-stack developer. Give them an applause. But before we go into the panel discussion, I would like everybody to be on the same page regarding what we are building here before we go in detail. So we would like to show you another video.
Lisk is a platform on which developers can build, publish, distribute, and monetize their own blockchain applications. A blockchain application looks and feels like a regular application, but it's built on top of a blockchain or decentralized network, rather than hosted and managed by a single entity. However, a number of challenges associated with developing blockchain applications, such as a lack of tooling and frameworks, prevents it from being widely adopted. Lisk aims to remove these obstacles by providing developers with an easy-to-use sidechain development kit to build their own blockchain applications. Each blockchain application runs on top of its own sidechain, a fully customizable blockchain that is connected to Lisk's main chain. And the SDK is completely written in JavaScript, the most commonly used programming language in the world. So, with Lisk, everyone can develop decentralized social networks, messengers, games, exchanges, storage platforms, and much more, without the complexity of developing a blockchain from scratch. Access the power of blockchain with Lisk.
But of course, it's a very nice video. But if you see what kind of effort our developers put into it to make this, what sounds simple in the first glance, to reality, it's unbelievable. And because we don't want you to miss out on any detail of what we have to share, Oliver and myself have an iPad to share with you the very details. Oliver, welcome on the panel. Core 1.0, it's been a topic on Reddit, the #1 topic, for good reason. Back in November, Max explained that the SDK is an aggregation of the tools, like I also mentioned earlier. And Core being, well, it's by far the most complex and our most important release to date. Can you explain a bit more, like the motivations and goals behind the forthcoming release of Core 1.0?
Sure, okay. So since Lisk was created, we've been aggressively refining, maturing the code base to the point where, for the most part, the network is working effectively. Well enough to support the basic set of transaction types and blocks processing. Excuse me. Required to evolve as a cryptocurrency. When we came to approach the idea of building a platform on top of Lisk, we quickly ran into some architectural design problems and code quality issues, and these originated from our enthusiastic but rather innocent beginnings known as crypting.
So Oliver, like, what did we want to achieve with this 1.0 release?
Okay, so first and foremost, we wanted to learn from our mistakes and make Lisk fit for purpose as a truly scalable and accessible blockchain application platform. So with that in mind, our motivations were to confront some of these issues head on. This meant redesigning some of the key components of the Lisk core, which we felt in their previous form would be detrimental towards building a successful platform.
So in the back on the screen, we can see the goals that were set out for the Core 1.0 release. So to elaborate a bit further, can you guide us through those goals and what they entail?
Yeah, okay. So after numerous brainstorms, code reviews, tests, and a bit of soul searching, we faced up to some pretty harsh realities and came up with some immediate goals. And these were the following. 2, design and implement a new API, the idea being to provide a uniform and consistent API for Lisk and eventually its sidechains. To rewrite the peer-to-peer transport layer, migrating Lisk from a stateless protocol to a persistent WebSocket-based protocol for better connectivity and decreased block propagation times. To rewrite the database layer to support fully atomic block writes and as a result, improve blocks processing efficiency. To add a 64-byte data field to our type 0 transaction type, allowing custom identifiers, hashes, and other pieces of metadata to be optionally attached to every balance transfer on the network. And then finally, to form a standards team at Lisk aimed at enforcing the strictest code quality and test coverage controls and apply them to the Lisk core and the other projects within the organization.
Yeah, as you can see in the slide behind us, the statistics of core are significantly. The amount of commits aggregated is more than all the products and the releases prior to that. The main question here is, what is the current development status of core? And I think we have some good news to share.
Yes, okay. So the Lisk core 1.0 release has certainly taken much longer than expected. But I would say after a number of highly productive development sprints and a lot of intense effort from our team, we have now finally arrived at the point where all of our stated goals are now essentially complete. The remaining work that we are now facing involves adding further test coverage and performing the required quality assurance. The goal being to ensure any regressions are identified and fixed before we release it to the testnet.
Exactly. So I already mentioned it before. In everything we do, it's quality over speed. And I can tell you that we organized those stand-ups in the morning, or we did it actually. We canceled them due to an ever-growing light curve contractor. But there won't be a morning passing by when there's not one developer saying, today I'm going to do tests. And it's not one, but it is many. So I hear Oliver saying so often, guys, we have to understand there is billions in the network. We see projects fail, we see scams running away with the money. And I honestly can say, although it's not my team, that we're doing everything in our best to make it the most secure and reliable platform out there. And I would like a round of applause for all the developers that do all that effort. So Oliver, when can we expect an OPA beta release on the Lisk testnet?
Okay, so we're going to start an internal alpha testing process in the coming weeks, where we will deploy our own network of a similar size to the mainnet. Here we will conduct the bulk of our quality assurance work, involving stress and migration tests from the old to the new Lisk network. Taking into account the level of testing involved, we expect an open beta release within the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Oliver, as you mentioned, that it took us long, it took us maybe too long. But once this is out of the way, guys, then we set the foundation to very fastly improved with an onboarded and ever-growing development team to work on amazing things. So what will be the first thing what we can expect after Core 1.0? On the roadmap in November, we saw like modularization, the fee system, the address system. The last two we will discuss with Iker as a cryptographer. What's up with the modularization and how does it play a role?
Okay, so what's coming next is probably, well, hopefully a short breather if we're lucky, but then we'll start the work on the next major version, 2.0. For this, I will let Ika give further details surrounding our planned protocol changes, but from a development perspective, we'll begin further modularization work. This will involve decoupling the various parts of the Lisk core into pluggable components, and will form the basis of the SDK and the blockchain application platform.
Yes. Iker, I mentioned the fee system and the new address system are also high on the agenda. We spoke already about it. We even saw some inspiration and ideas on our Reddit, I believe. As a cryptographer and our first member of the science team, can you elaborate a bit more on the new fee system?
Yeah, of course. So we believe, and our community has made it clear on our social networks, that to change, to improve the current fee system is a must. That's why I've been working in the past weeks in a scalable and dynamic fee system. In fact, as Oliver just mentioned, this new fee system is going to be the main priority for the core team after the successful release of the 1.0 version. And yeah, it will be, as Oliver said, the 2.0 version.
So why is it the system necessary in the first place? What is the main pain points? We see with an ever-growing price, we highly appreciate it, of course, but the fees are too high. In the back, we see the current fees, 25 Lisk for a delegate registration. That's just too expensive.
Yes.
So tell us a bit more.
So yeah, as you may know, we currently have this static fee system where a fixed fee is to be paid depending on the type of transaction, as you can see here. This fixed fee doesn't change no matter the size of the transaction, the amount of Lisk tokens to be transferred, or even the network congestion, as with Bitcoin. For example, yeah, as you can see here, if you want to perform a simple balance transaction from one account to the other, no matter but if you transfer 1 Lisk or 1 million Lisk, you will pay 0.1 Lisks as the fee. If you, I mean, voting and submitting votes is always 1 Lisk, and if you want to register your account as a delegate, you will need to pay 25 Lisks. So initially this static fee system was working perfectly fine, no problem, and it allowed the active usage of our network even for these the smallest users. When I say smallest users, I mean those users with a small amount of Lisk tokens in their account. Yeah. However, with this massive growth, this massive surge of cryptocurrencies, and of course their consequent increase of price, especially for Lisk token, this situation has changed. It's no longer the situation, and now I would say those users with limited resources are struggling to be an active part of the network. And when I say active part, I mean voting a delegate, downvoting the delegate, or if they want to become a delegate. Yeah. And yeah, that's why we have this new fee system in the pipeline, and this new fee system is going to be dynamic, as I said, and dynamic in the way that the fees are going to depend on several factors, all of them within the Lisk ecosystem, and this way it will allow a fairer way to participate in the network.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, since it's a rebranding event and everything is in the focus of a brand identity, we don't go further in detail what the algorithm entails. A couple of weeks ago, you had a session with Max and Oliver discussing it. Further details will follow on our social media and a blog, for example. But yeah, I think it's a #1 priority after 1.0 is out of the way. If you say that we truly want to open up the Lisk platform to anybody, also with people with a lower amount of Lisk tokens to participate in the network, does it mean that voting becomes cheaper? Do you think it will have an effect on the current DPoS system?
Yeah, so, well, I would say first, well, it's a consequence of let's say the main feature of this fee system is that the fees are going to be way cheaper for every kind of transaction. And I'm talking about orders of magnitude cheaper in most of the situations. And this first thing, obviously, the first implication of this is that those small users that I mentioned before, they will have an easy way to participate in the network. And yeah, as you mentioned, another direct consequence of this new fee system is the voting system. The voting system is going to be affected. So for now that when we implement this fee system, these cheaper fees will allow the voting system, the voting dynamics to be more fluid, to have a greater fluidity in the network. And yeah, believe it or not, this fluidity is very important here for Lisk, for the project. Because for delegate proof-of-stake systems, as you were saying, to have a fluid, democratic voting system will ensure the decentralization of the project. And yes, decentralization is, I would say, is capital in cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's a hot topic. What we choose back in the days to go for the DPoS system. It has its pros and its cons, obviously, and with this, at least it becomes easier to vote. We also have in mind that we're expanding the science team. Iker is the first one as a cryptographer. We announced back in November that we will go hire more and more academic people, more people in the range of Iker's work, to fill the science team up to 5 people in the coming months. And you already addressed the consensus algorithm. This is also something which further on the line this year will be optimized. Another thing which is more towards us now on the timeline is the new address system. We have a pretty unique address, as you can see behind us. Can you explain us a bit why this is needed and what we can expect?
So yeah, again, I have to start with that we believe that a mature, thoroughly designed address system is a key point for the long-term success of the project. And here, when I say success, I mean in terms of scalability, usability, accessibility, and of course, security. Yeah, at the moment, yeah, you can see it here. Basically, a Lisk address is around 20 digits number and decimal base, or from 0 to 9. And we have this L attached at the end as the Lisk identifier.
Let's take a step back and explain to people how does this address is being generated. Because I believe there's a lot of people tuning in tonight and also sitting in the room that would like to hear it from a cryptographer how this fairly simple but important generation is being accomplished.
Yeah, so I would say the high-level process to generate this address is simple, as you said. So first, yeah, you can follow it here. So first, the user will choose his passphrase. Well, in fact, in the wallet, this is generated for the user, this passphrase, to avoid the unsecured choice as we saw it in your presentation with the like moving the mouse. So we avoid this way the unsecured choices of passphrase. So once that this passphrase is generated, it is hashed, and it is the input of a elliptic curve signature algorithm. This signature algorithm will output 2 things. First of all, the public key, sorry, the private key, and then the public key of the user. So we take a tiny bit of this, a part of this public key. We process it. We process it to generate the address, the 20 digits number that we saw before.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the whole process. And as you can imagine, I mean, it has several advantages. First of all, it allows a great accessibility for new users, for newcomers. As well, it is human readable, so it is really easy to catch for the human eye. And yeah, in other words, you can say that the current address system is both easy to manage and is user-friendly.
Exactly. So I didn't hear any negative side on the current address, because there is at the moment also no negative side of it. But everything we do, is it the website or the Lisk Hub or the changes we make on the protocol level of Lisk Core, everything we do is with the sidechain application platform in mind, and this is also, I guess, for the address system. So it sounds like a good system for now, but why do we want to change it, and what can we expect?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, if it was perfect, we wouldn't be considering like improving it. So yeah, it has some limitations. And that's why we are improving this address system. So I would say the first limitation is that those around 20 digits address that we have now, it has a limited entropy. This means that when thousands or even millions of users are accessing the network in the future, this current address system will struggle in terms of security and usability. And here I'm speaking about address collisions, very similar addresses, like typing mistakes when you input one address or whatever. And yeah, I think.
Yeah, so it's important that with the sidechain development in mind that we change the things because, well, the network is live, so implementing changes along the way is much more difficult than if the network is not live yet. Let's move on to Will. Will, you were working on two products. They're now renamed and rebranded. Are you happy with the naming?
I like the names.
The first one you are working on together with other developers, of course, is the newly rebranded Lisk Elements, previously known as Lisk.js. Can you explain us a bit more what it is exactly?
Sure. Lisk Elements is a JavaScript library which gives developers access to Lisk-related functionality. So there's a helpful list of constants that we use, such as the time the network was originally created, or the static fees we have currently in place. There are some cryptographic functions. There are functions related to creating, signing, and verifying transactions. And it will also let you interact with the API of a node that's running on the Lisk network. It's in JavaScript, which means you can use it on the back end. Say you might have a server that's processing data coming out of the Lisk blockchain, or on the front end, for example, in a wallet application.
Exactly. So in the back, you can also see the summary of the components. So what is the relationship to core, for example, like the correlation?
Yeah, so obviously, you have all of this functionality on the nodes, which are running Lisk core. But as a user, you don't necessarily want to be connected to the network, and you don't need to be connected to the network to perform some functions. An example here is creating and signing a transaction. You don't have to be connected to the network to do that. These are deterministic functions. You can even be entirely disconnected from the internet. And in this particular case, there's a security benefit that you might want there. You could have a device that's never connected to the internet, never exposed to the dangers associated with that. You sign your transactions locally, and then your passphrase is safe. Obviously, once you need to broadcast that transaction to the network, have it included in a block, at that point, you need to get in touch with a node, and Lisk Elements will also help you with that connection.
Yeah. So where is Lisk Elements currently used in our ecosystem?
It's used in a bunch of places. It's used in the new Lisk Hub. It's used in Lisk Nano, obviously. We use it in our command line tool, Lisk Commander. It's used by various exchanges that hold Lisk. And our community members are also using it in their own projects, which is something we really want to encourage and support.
Yeah. So we elaborate a tiny bit on also like what core is becoming after the release of the 1.0 release. What can we expect from Lisk Elements to become? Is there also like such a thing like modularization?
Exactly. So just like with Lisk Core, we want to modularize Lisk.js. It has, as we saw on a previous slide, and this one here, fairly distinct regions of functionality. And we want to make those separately installable packages while still providing a wrapper package which will include all the default functionality that you're used to with Lisk.js. This will enable you, if you're, say, a sidechain developer who wants to use the same cryptography as on the main chain, but you have a different set of constants, for example, then you can just pick and choose which parts of Lisk Elements you think are relevant to your application. Ignore the bits that aren't relevant and use your own code where necessary.
Yeah. So modularization to be implemented after 1.0 is out of the way. The same goes for elements. Let's dive a bit deeper in Lisk Commander, another, well, developer-facing product. What is Lisk Commander? It's the previous Lisk key.
Exactly. Lisk Commander is the command line interface which wraps around Lisk elements functionality. One of the reasons we've picked JavaScript for the Lisk project is that it's a very popular language, but not everybody necessarily wants to learn JavaScript just to get started with Lisk. And even people who do know JavaScript already don't necessarily want to write a script every time they want to perform some basic task. So with Lisk Commander, you get a basic set of commands, which probably all developers will want to use at some point when they're interacting with the Lisk network, and a nice, clean text interface. There's an interactive mode, which is nice for manually checking things or one-off tasks. And there's a non-interactive mode, which is more appropriate for automating tasks, or if you want to use Lisk Commander in combination with other tools. And then as output, you can see either a nice, pretty table, which is human readable, or JSON, which you could then pipe to other tools.
Yeah, let's have a look here in the back how that turns out in reality, using those commands. What can we expect from Lisk Commander then in the future, talking about one of our other products?
Right, so we want Lisk Commander to be the primary interface for dApp development, ultimately. We'll have packages within the overarching project of Lisk elements for creating sidechains, things like that. And then once we have the functionality in Lisk elements, we can provide a command in Lisk Commander, which wraps that functionality and provides a nice interface for developers to get going from the command line with sidechain development. So we envisage a situation something like this. You open up a terminal, you start Lisk Commander, you type create Genesis block. It prompts you for a few pieces of information and spits out a JSON file. And that JSON file you can then use when you type your next command, create sidechain.
Exactly. So very interesting for the developers among us. I hope it's also clear for the non-developers among us because, well, yeah, it's complex. Very, very more complex than the video that may seem in the first place. But these are the necessary steps in order to achieve what we envisioned. Going back to Oliver. Oliver, I quickly, when I reviewed the website, the products page in more particular, we pointed out 4 steps to make clear like, what can people expect from idea towards their success of the deploy of their application and the success that comes with it. This is the following. So can you guide us through the 4 steps and elaborate a bit further on the ones I left out earlier on? So the first one is generating your own white label sidechain.
Sure. So developers will first download the SDK, most probably in the form of an npm package. For example, by typing the command npm install Lisk-SDK. This package will provide them with the free elements, or Lisk elements, and the Lisk Commander. And these combined together will enable developers to bootstrap their application using Lisk Commander. Exactly.
Let's go to the second step. So customizing your sidechain. With the great work of Taiko now, we visualize this step with the block falling into the bigger block. What does it mean, customizing your sidechain?
OK, so initially, the customization will be limited to transaction types and their resulting behaviors. But eventually, it will allow developers to create their own custom tokens and reward mechanisms. Later on, there will be further options available, such as the ability to choose a different consensus algorithm.
Exactly. So this is where the interesting parts happens for the developers. So together with the Lightcurve Blockchain Development Studio, and I help already, Jacob pointed it out, with the knowledge and the inspiration and the entrepreneurial drive of all the people here and the people back home together, we should do it. I mean, it's not only up to Lightcurve, of course. The third step is from a sidechain towards an application. People, this is based on questions we got from people on Reddit and also in person. What is the difference between a sidechain and then an application? Because there's a step missing.
Okay, so the Lisk sidechains are essentially API-driven back-end applications, the same as the Lisk core itself. So developers will have the freedom to choose how their users will interface with their sidechain. For example, by developing an iOS or Android application.
Yes. The fourth step is further on the timeline for developers testing and deploying their app. Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Sure. Okay, so at Lisk, we care a great deal about testing. So the SDK will provide an out-of-the-box framework for writing automated tests against your sidechain code. Also, we'll be developing some standards and best practices for testing blockchain applications effectively. And when it comes to actual deployment of your sidechain, Lisk Commander will allow developers to deploy their sidechain using just a few commands.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds very exciting. And if people want to read more about those steps in further detail, of course, I showed earlier on the products page, we can click on read more. And we really spent some time in crafting this text, so I really hope that we answer a lot of questions tonight here with the panel discussion. Thanks, guys, for participating and answer some hot questions. If you want to read more about it, of course, feel free to reach out to us, like you already did. And, of course, check out the new website tomorrow at 12 o'clock, noon time, Central European time. I would like to thank Oliver, Iker, and Will for their time here, and I hope it was insightful. Thank you. And now I would like to give the word to Max Kordak again, who will continue today's presentation. Thank you.
Shares, yeah, come on. First, we need to change the stage again. So let's wait a moment. Lucas? Okay. Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you. Okay. Maybe one round of applause for our helpers here. Thank you very much. Okay, this just went very deep. Who understood all of it? You want a job? Please apply. It's super complicated technology, it's going deep, but I think it's worth it for humanity that we progress and make it available for everyone in this world. So I really hope you love what you've seen until now. And now I'd like to give you a few insights, very brief, about the Lisk Foundation and about a company we heard quite a few times about today already, Lightcurve. Let's start with a financial overview for the Lisk Foundation. So what we normally did last year were monthly or quarterly financial overviews. But we were so busy building this amazing platform, so busy with board meetings, with discussions, and so on and so forth, that I personally just couldn't find the time for it. But here is an updated financial overview so that you know how much money the foundation currently has. So we still have over 8,000 Bitcoin, Bitcoin Gold, and Bitcoin Cash. We have nearly 9 million Lisk tokens. We have over 60,000 gigabytes of Byteball. and around 2 million Swiss francs or worth of Swiss francs in fiat currencies. That puts the current Lisk Foundation holdings to far over 300 million Swiss francs. That's amazing for a startup of our age. And we can use that. So in 2017, we just spent around 5 million Swiss francs on the whole project. But our current projections estimate that this year, with our huge growth, we're going to spend approximately 25 million Swiss francs with an exponential growth in the next 2 years. So it's going to be insane. You can't believe that. I would also like to use this moment to introduce you to a new initiative we just recently started to pick up, and that is to sponsor open source projects. So in order to strengthen the Lisk infrastructure and software quality, we have begun to connect with the project leads of these open source libraries we are actively using within the Lisk protocol. To mention here specifically, our socket cluster developed by John. One round of applause for him. And PG Promise from Vitaly, who is